Time is just gone 9:40 a.m. as we continue with the show this morning, and it's time now to look at the South Africans, the three largest private pathology groups that have now agreed to further reduce the price of COVID-19 rapid antigen tests to 150 rand. And we speak to Wayne Duvenage, Chief Executive Officer at Organization Undoing Tax Abuse. Wayne, good morning to you, and as always, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Nice to be with you today.
Yes, obviously this has been a major talking point with regard to the reduction in the price of these rapid antigen tests to 150 rand. Now, this obviously has come as a result of an investigation that have been pursued and looking at the Competition Commission. And I know many of us have basically welcomed this, but over the period of time and during this time of this pandemic, we find that these companies have actually raked in billions as far as these tests are concerned, Wayne.
Yes, absolutely, and it's quite diabolical, this conduct by these lab testing and groups that really are supposed to be not profiteering out of a situation like this. And no one denies the fact that business is here to make a profit. But when you make excessive profits, and when the complaints to the Competition Commission have to reveal that, it's actually rather worrying. What extent do these companies realize that they have a role to play in tackling this pandemic? If it becomes cost prohibitive, people don't get tested, people get sick because they've waited too long. They take chances, thinking, well, maybe it's just a cold and it'll go away, and then they go and test too late and they can die from this. So we find it really repulsive that this has been happening for so long. I mean, to drop the PCR test from 850 to 500 rand, I can tell you now, even at 500 rand, they're making massive profits. And now to reduce the rapid antigen test from 350 to 150, again, they're still making profits. They're not going to do it at a loss. So how much money have they been making out of the public for so long now is the question we must ask. And the second question is, what corrective action, what accountability, levels of accountability are going to be leveled against the executives of these companies to hold them to account for the conduct?
Well, certainly, because there is clearly a case of a moral and an ethical problem here when one looks at these insane profits that you speak of with both the PCR test and the rapid antigen test, and also to cloud it further, we know what has happened with all the PPS in the government as well. So the entire pandemic in a time of a dire situation, in a time when people have been in a state of worry, psychologically they've been affected, economically they've been affected, and here we see this type of behavior, which is clearly not acceptable, Wayne.
Yeah, it's immoral, as you said. It's grossly immoral, in fact, and we now need to not just sweep this under the carpet or say, okay, well, thank you, now they've reacted in the right direction, let's move on. We need to hold people to account. We need companies and executives sitting in boardrooms when they look at the profits they're making, asking themselves in future, is this correct in this time? Are we not, overdoing this? And should we not be acting in a more moral manner? And if they don't want to ask those questions in the boardrooms, if they want to continue in this way, then we believe that the might of the law and the competition law, and we've got very strong competition law here, needs to take place. Because there's so few companies that are doing this, it might be difficult to prove that there was anti-competitive conduct or collusive conduct. So I think this is where civil society, this is where the public need to start expressing their wrath and their anger and their frustration against people in positions of power who hold this power and hold society to ransom through their conduct. Something has to happen. This cannot just be left alone.
Yes. Now, Wayne, I've seen certain comments come through, even talking about a class action suit. Is that an option?
Well, it could be. This is a little bit outside of OUTA's mandate. We play more in the space of tax abuse and abuse of taxpayers' money, corruption and maladministration in that space. This is more in the in the business space. This is not around abuse of taxes, but I do believe that there are and must be bodies, interested bodies, that must take action in this regard. We are also looking at it at an arm's length, and that's why we are commenting about this frustration, this abuse of power and abuse of position across the board. So we have expressed our frustration with it, and I think there should be some action. Obviously, you have to weigh up the costs and and whether there's a strong case. You have to get the facts, and you know what it's like when you go into court. I mean, the lawyers love it from both sides. They make a lot of money out of these cases. But if there is a strong case, if there's very strong evidence that there has been collusion, then I think a class action needs to be taken against these companies. Hello? So,
considering the fact that an entire nation has suffered as a result of this type of uncompetitive behavior.
Yeah, look, it is. We all suffer as individuals. As we know, medical aids only pick up the costs, some of them if you are positive. And we've seen and heard a lot of people that hold back on their testing because they're not sure and they can't afford the costs of these tests. So, again, this has a detrimental effect on the health of society. And if the costs were half the price of what they are now, then I think a lot more people would have gone and got tested earlier and not been sick and not been subjected to hospitalization and possibly even death. So it is a serious moral issue, this.
Well, certainly, and I think just finally, Wayne, I'm hoping this will not go away now that they have reduced and people are just going to accept it, and we'd like to see a lot more noises being made.
Yeah, we hope it's not just swept under the carpet, and we hope that they're not even, cheered for doing so. They should have done so a long time ago. They should, society needs to be disgusted at the conduct of these organizations who have been overpricing for a long time now.
Well, Wayne, thank you very much for that. And as always, we appreciate you taking time out, talking to us here on Salam Media on News and Views. All the best to you, sir.
All the best. Pleasure. Bye.
Wayne Duvenage joining us this morning, and this comes against the background of the three largest private pathology groups that have agreed to further reduce the price of COVID-19 rapid antigen test to 150 Rand. And this is now the second successive price reduction. And this has come on the insistence of the competition, where the PCR test will no longer cost 850 Rand, but 500 Rand with immediate effect.
Looking to get your kick? Kiki's have now reopened on 2